Today on the Commanders Report, we got a really fun segment for you guys. Coop and I, the producer here of the Commanders Report, we ran a fully simulated season for the Washington Commanders here in 2024, in Madden 24, with the updated rosters. And we wanted to see, what does Madden think that the Washington Commanders are going to do here in 2024, given the talent that's on the roster right now? Well, we have the answers for you guys coming up here in just a second. But first, predict it for me and get down there in the comments section. How many games will the Commanders win this season with Jayden Daniels leading the way and Dan Quinn's first year as the head coach? Let me know down there in the comments section. Now, a couple of the simulation settings here. We're using the updated Madden 25 rosters here. Okay, so you have the official overalls and stuff like that, all the attributes. All the rookies are in the game as well. 15-minute quarters, so fully lengthed out games. Okay, so these are going to be, we're going to do stat projections at the end of today's show. So those stat projections will be what Madden thinks for the entire season. And then the offensive playbook has been changed to Cliff Kingsbury, and then defensive playbook has been changed to the Cowboys playbook with Dan Quinn. So just so you guys know that heading into this stream. So now let's get into it here. All 17 games of the season for the Washington Commanders here. First game is against the Buccaneers. And Madden has the Commanders losing by 2 scores, 35-25. And, you know, if that's not bad enough, you're at home against the Giants, a team that you could probably beat, and you lose by a touchdown in week 2. So that's unfortunate there. Start your season off with 2 losses. It's definitely not what you're looking for if you're Dan Quinn or Jayden Daniels. And then you get a really tough game in week 3 against the Bengals, and you squeak it out. Like, you almost get there, man. You only lose by 3 points, 13-10, the final score there. Defense definitely showed up in that one, but offense couldn't get more than 10 points. And then in week 4, you finally get your first win. 28-10 against the Cardinals, who, let's face it, they kind of stink, man. Jayden Daniels in the offense put up 28 points, though, so pretty decent stuff there. Then you're home against the Browns, and you get your second straight win in a row, 30-16. Put up 30 points against that Browns defense. I mean, when I saw that result, I was like, oh, my goodness, we might have something here on offense. And then in week 6, you get to 500. After 3 straight losses, 3 straight wins, and you beat the Baltimore Ravens, and your defense, your Washington Commanders defense, holds Lamar Jackson, last year's MVP, to only 7 points in week 6. That's an incredible performance there by the Commanders defense. But then in week 7, unfortunately, you lose to the Panthers. How do you go from winning on the road against the Ravens, best record in the NFL last year, versus the team with the worst record in the Panthers at home, and you give up 35 points to those guys? I mean, I don't even know what Madden's thinking about with that one, man. But then week 9, you get back in the win column, get back to 500, improve to 4-4 with a win. Final score 31-24 against the Bears. And then we face the Giants again in week 9, and you get swept by the Giants, 28-21. You lose by a touchdown in both games. That would be embarrassing for the Washington Commanders if you lose both games to the Giants. Daniel Jones stinks. Then week 10 versus the Steelers. Another loss, but a close loss, right? The Steelers have a pretty decent team, a good defense, lose 16-10. And then week 11, you get back in the win column here in a big win against the Eagles. All right, 35 points against the Eagles defense, getting the victory on the road, and you're sitting at 4-5, and you're still kind of in the thick of things here, but unfortunately, this is where things hit the skids, guys. Week 12, it's a loss against the Cowboys. At home, you lose by a touchdown. And then week 13, man, it just keeps getting worse. You lose to Will Levis and the Titans by double digits here at home, which is not something you want to see. Then you have your bye in week 14. You lose to Derek Carr and the Saints by 2 touchdowns on the road in week 15. And, you know, that's 3 straight losses at this point at the worst part of the season that you could possibly have a bad losing streak. And if it's not bad enough, lose to the Eagles by 8 points at home in week 16 after beating them on their home turf a few weeks back. And then the Falcons, you lose to Kirk Cousins and crew, 19-10. So 5 straight losses, and at this point, you might as well just lose the last game of the year there. It's a 2-point loss. You lose 16-14 on the road in Dallas. But 6 straight losses to finish out this season is what Madden projects for the Washington Commanders, at least in our simulation. Final record, 5-12. So, you know, you were kind of there for a little bit there, Producer Coop, right? You were at 5-6. you were kind of still in it a little bit. You're hovering around 500, but then boom, 6 straight losses to finish your campaign. That's definitely not what Commanders fans are going to be hoping for and even expecting, because I do think they're going to get a better record than this. I think because Madden has Jayden Daniels' overall so low because he hasn't proven anything yet, I have a feeling that the Commanders are going to do better than this number here. So we see the NFC East standings in this simulated season here. Cowboys first place, 13-4. The Eagles get to 10-7. And then the Commanders finish last. Giants obviously swept the Commanders in this scenario. So two of their five wins were against the Commanders. Absolute joke. And the Commanders dropped to last place. Now, in terms of the stats and what they project for these players, Jayden Daniels, not bad. 68% completion percentage, almost 4,000 yards passing, 22 total touchdowns, and 15 interceptions. Now, when you're combining passing touchdowns and rushing touchdowns, you want to see that number maybe a little bit higher than 22. Maybe 22 passing touchdowns would be nice, but 22 total touchdowns I think seems a bit low. But let me know down there in the comment section, will Jayden Daniels have over or under 22 total touchdowns, both passing and rushing, this year? Type O for over or type U for under. Let me know what you guys are thinking about Jayden Daniels and his projected touchdown total down below. Now, the offensive leaders in this simulated season, Austin Eckler gets 741 yards and 5 touchdowns. Terry McLaurin was the leading receiver, gets over 1,000 yards receiving. Only 5 touchdowns, though. That was a little bit disappointing. Then Jahan Dotson, only 2 touchdowns. So definitely not the breakout season that you're hoping for from Jahan Dotson. Then on defense, lots of sacks. I'll say this, guys. There's quite a few sacks. Daron Payne got up to 10.5 sacks in our simulated season. And then Wagner, Davis, and Luvu all had 6.5. That's pretty darn good. And then Luvu tacked on 12 tackles for loss. That is incredible from Frankie Luvu. And then Emmanuel Forbes didn't actually play all that well. Only 2 interceptions and 7 pass breakups. So that's where it's at, man. And at the end of the day, I think that the Commanders will do better than this. I do. I think that, with Jayden Daniels, I think he's going to be one of, if not the best rookie quarterback in the NFL this year. I think his ability to rush with the football is going to help out Cliff Kingsbury's offense, and it's going to kind of raise the, what's the old saying there? The rising tide, rises all boats, whatever the case may be. And I think that's going to be the case. I think the defense is going to punch above its weight because of Dan Quinn and Joe Witt Jr.'s scheme. We've covered that extensively here on the show. And at the end of the day, what I would project is like 7, 8, 9 wins and, maybe even a playoff berth for the Washington Commanders if they can hit the higher end of that. I still think they're probably a year away from really competing. They need to, another year of a draft, another free agency, another offseason to really solidify Dan Quinn's culture here. But they're not that far away, man. They really aren't. It's going to be an exciting season. And I think Madden might be sleeping on the Commanders just a little bit. Make sure you guys click that subscribe button and also get down there in the comments section if you're a real one. If you made it to the end of today's show, type real one in the comments if you made it to the end. Only the real ones make it to the end, guys, so I really do appreciate it. And if you're a real one and you made it to the end, might as well click that subscribe button as well. We got daily Commanders content for you guys, so don't miss any of it. Make sure you click that subscribe button right now.